If cars treated us the way we treat them, there would be chaos in the streets. Pistons flying, turbos screaming, and engines refusing to start out of pure spite. Think about it. Would you sprint full speed the second you wake up, or slam yourself onto a couch after an intense workout with no cooldown? Nah, you'd be in pain. Yet people do this to their turbo engines every single day without a second thought. So today, I'm going to break down 7 mistakes that destroy your turbo engine. And the first culprit, no warm-ups. You ever seen someone wake up, roll out of bed, and immediately start sprinting? No, that's because their body would shut down faster than a cheap lawnmower. But people do this to their turbo engines all the time. They turn the key, slam the gas, and expect the turbo to just keep up. Spoiler alert, it won't. See, turbos spin at ridiculous speeds, like 200,000 RPM kind of ridiculous. That's faster than your brain trying to justify buying a project car. But here's the problem. Cold oil moves slower than a Monday morning. Your turbo needs lubrication, and if you don't give it time to warm up, those little metal bits inside are grinding against each other like a bad first date. Not good. And if you're thinking, but modern engines have better cooling systems. Yeah, sure, some do, but physics doesn't care about your optimism. Cold oil is cold oil. If you don't let it circulate, you're just writing a death sentence for your turbo. Want your turbo to last? Give it time, warm it up, cool it down, and maybe, just maybe, your wallet won't cry itself to sleep replacing a dead turbo. Number 6. Ignoring foreign objects. Ignoring foreign object damage is one of the quickest ways to kill your turbo, and it happens more often than you'd think. You might not see it, you might not hear it, but rest assured, that tiny piece of debris you just ignored just turned your expensive turbo into a glorified paperweight. The problem? Junk gets in from 2 places. The engine or the air intake. The engine, not much you can do there unless you enjoy tearing it apart for fun. But the air filter, that's your responsibility. And if you're running around with a clogged, cheap, or torn filter, you're practically rolling out the red carpet for dirt, metal bits, and whatever else decides to sneak in. And once debris hits those delicate compressor blades, it's game over. Sure, some turbo engines come with an inner core to catch stray particles, but that's like putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. If the damage starts, you won't even know until your turbo sounds like a blender full of nails. And by then, it's too late. Prevention? Check your air hoses, replace your filters with actual quality ones, and for the love of boost, stop assuming minor damage is no big deal. Because the only thing worse than a broken turbo, paying for a new one. Number 5. Shutting down while hot, cheap oil, and lazy maintenance. This one's a classic. Drive like a maniac, push that turbo to molten lava levels, then switch off the engine like you're flipping a switch. Congratulations, you've just left hot oil sitting inside the turbo, turning it into crispy sludge that'll slowly choke your bearings to death. Want to avoid this? Let the engine idle for 30 seconds to a minute, or install a turbo timer if you're too impatient to wait. Then there's the instant thrash. Cold engine? Who cares? Slam the throttle, right? Wrong. A turbo needs oil at the right viscosity, and cold oil is thicker than a milkshake. Hammering it before it's warmed up means that you're grinding metal against metal with subpar lubrication. Give it a few minutes. Your turbo and your wallet will thank you. Oh, and let's talk about boost happy drivers who think every red light is a drag strip. Overboosting on a stock setup? Hope you enjoy the sound of compressor surge. That's the turbo screaming in pain as air slaps backward into it. Sounds cool, right? Until the shaft snaps like a twig. Regular oil changes are the lifeblood of your turbo engine. In a turbo engine, oil doesn't just lubricate, it also helps cool the turbocharger. Unlike a regular engine that can go 7,500 miles, turbos need fresh oil every 3,500 to 5,000 miles. High heat degrades oil faster. To keep your turbo running strong for years, the right oil is a must. In cold weather, lighter synthetic oil like 0W or 5W flow faster, ensuring your turbo gets lubrication before the engine starts working hard. Skipping oil changes? You might as well be throwing sand in your engine. If you think skipping oil changes saves money, just wait until you're shopping for a new turbo or an engine. Spoiler alert, it will not be cheap. Number 4. Lugging the engine? See, when you drive at low RPMs with heavy throttle, you're not just making your engine struggle, you're straight up committing turbo murder. Here's what happens. Low speed pre-ignition LSPI. Yeah, it sounds fancy, but it's basically your fuel-air mix deciding to combust before the spark plug even gets a say. And guess what? That uncontrolled explosion inside your engine? Yeah, it wrecks spark plugs, valves, cracks pistons, and shreds your engine from the inside out. Congratulations! You just turned your turbo into a very expensive paperweight. And then there's the pressure, literally. Lugging means high cylinder pressure, which puts ridiculous stress on all your engine components. Think of it like lifting weights with terrible form. Sure, you get the job done for a while, but eventually something's going to snap. Spoiler alert, it's your engine. Heat. Oh yeah, that's another problem. Lugging generates excess heat, and turbos hate heat unless it's properly managed. You're basically cooking your oil, breaking it down faster than your wallet can recover, and that means less lubrication, more wear, and a turbo that's about to wave the white flag. Solution? Shift like you got a brain. Don't force your engine to work hard at low RPMs. Downshift when needed and keep it in the power band. Or don't and enjoy spending thousands on repairs. Your call. Number 3. Stop-start systems. Stop-start systems are great for saving fuel, but they're turbo killers in disguise. Here's the problem. Every time your engine shuts off, the oil flow stops. And guess what your turbo needs to stay cool? That's right, oil. Turbos spin at ridiculous speeds and generate tons of heat. Normally, oil keeps everything nice and lubricated, preventing wear and tear, but when the engine cuts out suddenly, the turbo doesn't get a proper cool down. Instead, the leftover oil inside starts cooking, turning into a thick sludge. That sludge clogs up oil passages, suffocates the turbo, and boom, now you got a wrecked turbocharger and an expensive repair bill. And don't think modern cars magically fix this. Even the latest turbos can suffer if you constantly rely on stop-start systems, especially if you drive hard. Each restart puts extra stress on the turbo bearings, and a few milliseconds of oil starvation here and there, that adds up fast. The fix? If you're just puttering around town, fine, use stop-start. But if you're pushing your car hard or just finished a spirited drive, turn that feature off and let the engine idle a little before shutting down. Your turbo will thank you by not self-destructing. Number 2. Pump it full of the cheapest low-grade fuel you can find. If you hate your car, this is the way to do it. Turbochargers are high-pressure monsters, and they don't take kindly to bad fuel. You see, high-octane fuel exists for a reason. It prevents knocking. Knocking is when your fuel detonates before the spark plug even gets a chance to do its job. That's like lighting fireworks while you're still holding onto them. Pistons get wrecked, valves take a beating, and your engine slowly turns into a very expensive paperweight. Then there's the gunk factor. Cheap fuel doesn't just burn badly, it teams up with oil vapors to create a sticky sludge that clogs your throttle body. Think of it like cholesterol for your turbo. It restricts airflow, chokes performance, and makes your engine wheeze like a chain smoker. And let's not forget containments. Bargain bin gas is full of junk, water, dirt, whatever mystery sludge the station didn't filter out. That stuff clogs your fuel injectors, making combustion weak and inconsistent. Turbo engines thrive on precision, not whatever mystery cocktail your cheap gas station happens to be serving. Always, and I mean always, refer to your vehicle's owner manual for the recommended fuel grade. If it says premium, don't cheap out. The few extra bucks at the pump are nothing compared to the cost of major engine repairs. Bottom line, stop being cheap. Your turbo engine's already working overtime. Give it the good fuel or get ready to pay for a new engine when it taps out. Number 1. Little 5-minute drives. Every time you start your turbo and don't let it reach full operating temperature, you're setting yourself up for a mechanical disaster. Here's what happens. Your engine stays too cold, fuel doesn't burn completely, and that extra unburned fuel, it sneaks into your oil like a thief in the night, thinning it out and destroying its ability to lubricate properly. Thin oil means more friction, and more friction means your turbo is working overtime just to survive. And that's not even the worst part. Moisture builds up in the oil too, leading to corrosion inside your engine. Yeah, your turbo is basically rusting from the inside out. Then there's carbon buildup. Cold starts means incomplete combustion, and that nasty soot starts clinging to your turbo, slowly choking it out like an overprotective X. And your turbo bearings, they need proper lubrication, which you're not giving them because the oil hasn't had a chance to warm up. Result? You're grinding them down every time you take that quick trip to the store. How do you stop wrecking your turbo? Drive longer. Let the engine warm up. Stop treating your car like a microwave dinner. Some things need time to heat up properly. Otherwise, keep taking those short trips and get ready for your turbo to check out permanently. Have you ever noticed any signs of turbo damage in your car? What happened and how did you deal with it? If you ever owned a turbocharged car, what's the biggest mistake you or someone you know made that led to turbo trouble? Drop your thoughts in the comments.